We've seen that you guys have come out and officially changed the name. Now, it was interesting, I thought, the way that it was said, because you're talking about changing the NEPG, so National Enduro Promoters Group or Promotions Group, into the ANEC, so the American National Enduro Championship. Now, that was stated in a way that you felt, or whoever wrote that said that it could grow into the future, right? You could kind of grow into that name. Kind of like, what does that mean? Why is the name changed, and why does it feel like that was kind of that necessary first step for you guys?
We looked at just calling it National Enduro because a lot of people just refer to it as the National Enduro Series. We discussed a few different names. So the reason was actually brought up by Chris, and it made a lot of sense with the way that he discussed it with me. Is there's now multiple, and there always has been multiple forms of enduro racing, but you look at what enduro racing is in Europe, it is completely different. Sorry, my lights dropped. Yeah, we wanted to change the name to represent what it was. And obviously there's now Sprint Enduro, and it's different names, the US Sprint Enduro. There's some Sprint Enduros that have happened all over the country now. I think J-Day did some Sprint Enduros. And then you have World Enduro, and it's, again, a completely separate discipline. So from the outside, the way that the American Enduros are is completely different than any other series in any other country. And I honestly didn't think about it until Chris brought it up. I was like, okay, I like that, but it's going to be the AMA American, so like the American motor, like two Americans, and with the way things are right now, like double down on America, I'm in. It was kind of one thing led to another, and we went with that name. We went through, trust me, a year of names, and it was kind of the final hour. A lot of our decisions here lately have been, basically we started with 10 different decisions. We've narrowed it down to 3 or 4, and over the last couple of weeks, it's like, all right, that's gonna have to work. We're gonna have to pull the trigger, and obviously we've thought about a lot of things. We've had discussions. Again, with the AMA, everything has to be vocal. We have to make sure we're doing. So the name was also obviously ran by those guys, but if you want to call it National Enduro, call it National Enduro. We're going with ANEC just to show the difference in the style of enduro that we have.
Now the schedule is out for 2026, and it looks like some of the races that we have for 25 are not on the schedule, but I see some new ones too. I even texted you. I was like, Rhode Island, like what is trail like even in Rhode Island and some of the other places around New York? So like, how did that schedule come together? And I would say, please talk people through a little bit of some of the craziness that you've had to go through, just so the internet haters and commenters have a little bit more fuel for the fire, I guess you could say.
So the schedule so far, and I pray that was the most difficult part of everything, because the schedule has been by far the most difficult part. I mean, I just can't see anything that could be harder than what we had to go through. And it sounds crazy. Like if you were to tell me this a year ago, that the scheduling would be the most difficult part, I would say you were insane. After dealing with it for 3 or 4 months, kind of basically myself and Chris and my wife and friends and all of us trying to reach out to any enduro club that we could think of. And then I saw somebody put on the National Enduro page where they talk crap on National Enduro. Usually it's National Enduro Riders or something, I think. An anonymous participant put up, where would you like to see races? And I was like, this is perfect. And I went through and I found random people, and my wife.
So what you're saying is that wasn't actually you on Facebook as an anonymous AI agent or whatever it was named?
No, it wasn't.
Because when I saw that, I was like, oh, look, Stu came in and anonymously asked the great question.
The first thing I did is I texted Chris and I said, hey, did you put something on Facebook by chance? And he's like, no. In what regards? And I'm like, I didn't put it up there. So, yeah.
That's funny. All right, awesome. Well, thank you, anonymous person.
It ended up with giving some good ideas, and a guy named Brian from New York got tagged into it. And I saw mutual friends, a buddy that I grew up racing with, Tim Murphy. I called him. I'm like, hey, who is this guy? Does he want a National Enduro? Because we're screwed on schedules.
This is just a small clip from the full episode with Steward Baylor Jr. here on the Seat Time YouTube channel. If you're listening, make sure you go subscribe to the Seat Time YouTube channel so you can get the full episode when it comes out. See you guys soon. Peace.